Hello, you're watching New Vision TV News. We broadcast from the New Vision newsroom. I am Ruthina Siji. These are our top stories. Uganda joins global climate strike. Fire guts CHIA primary school dormitory building. Langu sub-region farmers decry the fall of CHIA seed prices. At least 26 people killed in Liberia school fire. And in our special report today, we'll look at the tactics the Ugandan army showcased to win the African teams during the biathlon games in Russia. We have more of those stories in a full bulletin. I am Ruthina Siji, broadcast from the New Vision newsroom. Before we get into the news, let us take a look at what you should expect in the Saturday vision. KYOTERA wants talks with USA over sanctions. Also to expect Makere Chaplin's tale of love. We also have row erupts over 100 billion shilling IGG towers. Teachers fleeced in online scam. Toro investor ordered to pay 30 billion to Fang Fang owner. And FUFA's Moses Magogo eyes Budiope East seat. We have more stories in the Saturday Vision. If you cannot access the hard copy of the Saturday Vision, the link is on your screen. All you have to do is to subscribe to our e-paper. We move on to news today. We start with the news around Uganda. Under the banner Youth Go Green, young people put their feet forward as they walked in protest against climate change. This is part of a global campaign by the youth to remind the world to take action on climate change. The young people are protesting inaction of government and business to the cause. According to Edwin Muhumuza, the Chief Executive Officer for the Youth Go Green, the protest march is seeking to mobilize the world to take action on climate change. Muhumuza said they have prepared a petition which will be handed over to Rebecca Kadaga, the Speaker of Parliament. The petition is reminding government to address impacts of climate change. The protest march comes ahead of the Climate Change Summit in New York in the US scheduled for next week. Meanwhile, the same cause happened in Australia, where an estimate of more than 100 climate protesters flooded the Australian coastal city of Melbourne on Friday as part of the global climate strike movement ahead of the United Nations Climate Change Summit. The march is one of the many taking place in Australia and across the globe, with organizers estimating millions of people to turn out in over 150 countries, including Germany, the UK, France, and the US. The global movement is partially inspired by youth climate activist Greta Thunberg, who began her weekly school strike for climate last year outside the Swedish parliament and has become a global figure inspiring climate activism. We now move on to more stories making news around Uganda from CHIA. Barely a week after schools opened for the final term this year, pupils of CHIA Infant Primary School may have to return home to collect books and other necessities after fire gutted the primary 7 dormitory and burnt pupils' property to ashes. The fire started at 8:30 p.m. on Thursday while pupils were in class for evening prep. The school head teacher, Pascal Kalangwa, believes this was an act carried out by malicious people. District Education Officer Chotela Matthias Chigoye asked the pupils to go back home to give the school administration time to prepare a new dormitory for the candidates. Rosette Sekakwa, the district police commander, Chotela District, says no injuries were recorded and investigations into the matter have started. In Councilor, 3 ministries, agriculture, health and education, have initiated projects in the region aimed at ending malnutrition among children in the district. Supported by the World Bank, Uganda Multi-Sector Food Security and Nutrition Project, demonstration gardens have been established to practically provide sustainable ways for pupils and families to grow their own nutrient-rich food. At Nyakasura Junior School in Karago Town Council, a demonstration garden has been set up where children are taught how to grow indigenous food and prepare it. While touring some of the demonstration gardens in schools and communities, recently, Joy Kabatsi, the State Minister of Agriculture in charge of animal husbandry, said the project's objective is to reduce the rate of malnutrition. In Lira district, State House has launched regional youth centers estimated to take up 200 acres of the 800 acres Ala farm in Lango sub-region. Now, Lango sub-region is comprised of Lira, Aliptong, Otuke, Amlata, Kole, Oyam, Apak, Dokor, and Kwania districts. State House Comptroller NAKYOBE said the regional centers will be built in 20 regions of the country to skill the youth in various disciplines. These include carpentry, welding, tailoring, weaving, knitting, and shoemaking. NAKYOBE said this during a meeting with district leaders from Lango sub-region at Lira Municipal Community Hall.
The State House Comptroller here today to come and launch the project of the President, which is to do with the setting up industrial parks in the 20 zones of Uganda. The President moved around these zones and promised that this financial year he would set up industrial parks that would enable the youth and the women get some skills and also do value addition, so that in those areas wherever they come from, people can benefit and have some income generating activities.
Accompanied by the Ministry of Local Government Permanent Secretary Benjamin Kumamanya, NAKYOBE visited a llama farm. Benjamin Kumamanya said they will do all it takes to support the project.
I'm very happy as a Minister of Local Government because the President has been very clear giving his message for wealth creation, skilling the youth. Recently, the President made tours in all the regions, and we're happy that now Ministry of Local Government working with State House have launched this program here in Lira Forango region, and we shall proceed to do the same in all the 20 regions.
James OMARA, the youth councillor Lira district, believes young people will be able to compete for contracts in the district with their acquired skills.
We appreciate the State House and President Museveni for coming up with this initiative of skilling the youth. And we are, in Lango, we are starting with Lira as a zonal headquarter. And Lira district local government has given over 200 acres of land for this project and industrialization of our city and other factories. So I think for this matter we can solve.
A report coming in from Kaberamaido district, the officer in charge of Operation Wealth Creation, Charles Emasu, has advised farmers to watch out for the rains before planting the maize grains distributed to them. Emasu cautioned the farmers after they received the first consignment of 10,000 kilograms of maize grains. Meteorologists have hence guided farmers that the ongoing rains are expected to go on up to late October, but they must insist farmers need to be more calculative. Closing off news around Uganda is a story from Lango sub-region where farmers in districts of Dohoro, Kwania, Aliptong and Lira do not have market for chia seeds. Many of them say their children will be able to go back to school because they have not sold chia seeds to get school fees. According to Moses Ogwanga, a farmer from Awili sub-region in Dohoro district, 5 bags of chia are stuck in his house with no market. Meanwhile, farmers from Kwania district, Alex OMARA, say the companies that have been buying chia from them are now closed. Shopia Adong Okwi said the price of chia has not been stable this season, dropping from 5,000 shillings to 1,500 shillings per kilogram. Chia seeds are plant-based foods that have long been associated to reducing the risk of diverse health conditions, including obesity, diabetes, and heart complications. We now move on to news around the East African region. From Tanzania, Air Tanzania Company Limited Managing Director Ladislas Matindi maintains the national carrier will only resume flights to Johannesburg after the government is fully satisfied that xenophobic violence has ended. It is now 2 weeks since the flights to South Africa were suspended and travelers are kept in suspense. The airline suspended flights immediately after court lifted an order that has resulted in one of its planes being impounded in South Africa. The order was court action in response to a farmer's petition that Tanzania government had not compensated him to his land, which was grabbed. In South Sudan, President Salva Kiir has said the transitional government of national unity must be formed on November 12th, as agreed by the parties to the peace deal in May this year. Salva Kiir made these remarks during the prayers organized by South Sudan Council of Churches at State House in the capital, Juba, yesterday. During last week's meeting between Kiir and Masha in Juba, both leaders committed to the timely formation of the new government. However, from the region, we look at news on the continent. From Tunisia, former President Zine El Abidine Ben Ali, the first leader to be toppled by the Arab Spring revolts, died Thursday in Saudi Arabia, Tunisia's foreign ministry told AFP. He was 83 years. His lawyer, Moni Ben Alha, confirmed the news, citing family members and Ben Ali's doctor. Ben Ali, who ruled his North African country from 1987 until 2011, was viewed by some as a bulwark against Islamist extremism, but faced criticism for mouthing the opposition and his reluctancy to embrace democracy. In Nigeria, police investigating the murders of at least 8 women lured to hotels in the southern city of Port Harcourt on Thursday arrested a man they described as a serial killer. 5 deaths in the last month have sparked outrage in Nigeria, with protests erupting across the city by women activists fearing a rise in killings targeting suspected sex workers. Police had already arrested one suspect, but said in a statement on Twitter that another suspect had been arrested on Thursday morning. In Zimbabwe, a doctors' union leader whose suspected kidnapping sparked protests by medics in the capital Harare has been found alive, Human Rights Watch confirmed. Peter Magobenyi had been missing since Saturday night, with his Zimbabwe Hospital Doctors Association saying he was taken because of his role in organizing strikes to demand better pay and working conditions. Still on the continent, in Liberia, a huge fire at Koranic School killed at least 26 pupils and 2 teachers on Wednesday when flames engulfed their dormitory in one of the worst disasters of its kind for the West African nation. The boys were sleeping at the school when the overnight fire began, said police spokesperson Moses Carter, adding that an electrical fault could have caused the blaze. President George Weah visited the site at Pennsville on the outskirts of the capital, Monrovia, and said the cause was still unknown. Away from the African continent, in the U.S., at least 1 person was killed and 5 more injured in a shooting in Washington, D.C. on Thursday. Footage shows the Condondorf area where the shooting happened and a high police presence at the scene. The suspect is still reportedly at large, with his motive being unknown. The shooting happened near the apartment building several kilometers away from the White House. We close off news around the world from Mexico, where female activists marched through Mexico City on the anniversary of the 1985 and 2017 earthquakes under the slogan Terremoto Feminista, earthquake for feminism, calling for an end to gender-based violence and hate crimes on Thursday. The activists marched from Insurgents Avenue to the capital's Angel of Independence monument, carrying signs decrying violence against women and demanding equality. You go and file a complaint because your daughter has disappeared. You go to the police and they tell you not to worry. A mother of a missing woman from Ciudad Juarez said at the protest. According to Terremoto Feminista's report cited in media, every day in Mexico, 10 women are killed and 51 raped. And in the last 6 months, 1,610 acts of femicide were committed across the country. That is it for the news around the world. We now take a short break, but when we come back, we'll take a look at the news in business.